20 minutes after the hour, 5 o'clock within the Twin Cities. In the studio, as I informed you earlier, we'll have guests in the studio, and they are definitely here. Miss Pam Perry, how you doing?
Hey, good.
Just as gorgeous as you want to be.
Thank you. Good to be in the Twin Cities here.
Yeah. Mr. J. Alexander Martin, how you feeling, sir?
Yes, enjoying the city.
Okay, and y'all ready for tomorrow for Wealth Day? It's Invest in Your Mind. It's going to take place at the Doubletree Hotel, which is located at 7800 Normandale Boulevard in Bloomington. And for more information, Paulie, lean over here to me, because for more information, what must they do?
Well, they need to go to wealthday.com. And I always tell people this because I know that there's a lot of events that people see. This is not one of those infomercial type deals or anything. Go to wealthday.com, get your ticket, show up tomorrow morning, because we don't have a hidden sales pitch, a hidden agenda. We are truly here to say, hey, it's time for everyone to build wealth. But instead of talking about it, we have to bring in people who have done it at such an extraordinary level that it actually helps people to understand the ups and the downs of what wealth building truly is. Because there's a lot of successful people. There are a lot of people who have high incomes on their jobs. However, when you build wealth, you don't need a job. You have a lifestyle. So when they come to Wealth Day, I'm telling you, they're going to enjoy it.
No doubt. It's FM 89.9 Camel J, letting you know about Wealth Day. And again, in the studio, Pam Perry. Now, check this out. When we're talking about branding consultant and social media guru, what got you started in the business, shall we say?
In the business. Well, I've been in it for a while, so social media wasn't around, but I evolved out of public relations. So it's been about 20 years. So journalism, that whole piece, that whole space has changed tremendously. So over the last 5 years, I've been like a blogging, Facebook, Twitter, social media, teaching people that you can be the media, that you could podcast your own, radio show.
Yeah.
You could be a YouTube sensation. You can blog your own magazine. So over the last few years, social media has made some superstars, people that really came out of nowhere who are now like, hey, now they're here.
Yeah, because that social media side, I'm still trying to understand a lot of it, because it's like sometimes on that social side, we could be too social and not enough on the business. And in the process of that, we spend a lot of time on the computer doing, a lot of other things, when it's like the business side of what we're trying to incorporate, what we're trying to do. And that's where I believe that branding side come in.
Right.
So explain to us a little bit about the branding side.
Yeah, it's really simple. Google runs everything. So when people Google your name, if they were to Google your name, QBR, what would they find? And if you don't take control of your brand, meaning that if you don't take control of all your properties online, someone else will be. So if I Google you and you don't have a Facebook or Twitter or LinkedIn or your own website, or say someone buys your name, you'd have to then say, okay, that's not really who I am. But the first thing that someone will do if they Google your name is that's what they're going to see. If it's on page one of Google, they believe it must be true, right? Well, but you've got to take care of your own brand. You've got to buyyourname.com. You've got to, make sure you set up all your profiles and you brand appropriately, that you have the right photo, the right bio, because it's a perceive what people want to know about you. You've got to put that message out there. So don't let it happen by chance.
And one of the things that's when it comes to the social media side and the branding that a lot of youth don't really understand is that some of those things that they print up on the pictures and those kind of things can determine on whether you get that next job or not.
Yeah, that's a whole nother story. But yeah, if you're a boomer, part of if you are a baby boomer, so someone who's over 40 or so, they know that they're afraid of sharing too much information. But if you are a young adult, a millennial, or someone below that, it's like you're sharing way too much information. So you're showing all kind of lewd pictures, or you're twerking and all that kind of stuff. And then, they're young, and then it stays in Google. And then when someone says, I'd like to apply for this job, and they go to Google you, and then they see all these lewd pictures of you cussing or doing whatever, and then they don't get the job, and they can't figure out, well, I did that when I was 16. But, hey, you're 20 now, but it's still there. So it really does. You've got to really have your character intact when you are pressing those buttons and hitting send.
Okay, and where are you from? Where were you born? And
I'm from Detroit.
Give us some history about Detroit.
I'm from Detroit. Born and raised in Detroit. When I first got out of school, went to Wayne State, worked at the Detroit Free Press, And then eventually my career took to a situation where I was the public relations director of the Salvation Army. I did that for many years. And eventually I started working on my own. I started Ministry Marketing Solutions about 13 years ago.
Okay.
And so primarily I work with a lot of nonprofits and ministers and authors. I work with a lot of authors who have motivational books. So I work with a lot of motivational speakers and authors.
Okay, well, I like to say welcome to the Twin Cities, and
Thank you.
looking forward to seeing you on tomorrow morning.
Yeah.
No doubt, no doubt. And shall I say, Mr. J. Alexander Martin, sir, how you feeling?
I'm great.
Okay, and give us just a little bit about yourself.
Oh, well, 7 years ago, I started a company with 3 other friends, colleagues of mine, actually friends from more than junior high school, a brand called FUBU.
Okay.
I don't know if anybody really remembers that brand, but
Oh, I still got some gear from back in the day. I can't fit it now, but so we might have to, collaborate a little
listen,
bit.
eBay's looking for that stuff, man.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's good. People getting some good money for that now.
Yeah.
So it's cool. So I started FUBU along with my partner, Damon John, Keith Perrin, Carl Brown. Damon John, of course, notable now for his likeness face him on Shark Tank on ABC. I think you see that on Fridays. Not unplugging his, but it's all good. That's what we do. Got to kind of bring each other up and help each other out in that aspect. But that's what I've done for the last 20 years. And that's what it is.
Okay, so when it comes to, because I know you also deal on the consultant side, what are some of the things, and don't go too deep into it because we also want them to show up tomorrow morning, so I got to, keep it intact. But, like some of the pros and cons of myths about consulting that something people may believe or not believe.
Well, first and foremost is the value. A lot of times people don't want to pay for the value of your knowledge.
Okay.
And they want it for free. But they try to call that, in networking or something like, or if not even just networking.
Okay, say all that again because I don't think some of them heard you.
I think people never want to pay for the value. If they want to pay, but they can't. It's hard to put a number to a value of your knowledge.
Okay. And
if someone wants to approach me and say, well, listen, hey, I need help. I'm trying to figure out what to do. I may, do some charity work and say, hey, well, maybe you should do this. So I give you 3 answers. After that, that's it.
Yeah.
Then the hourglass turns around. Now the digits have to start. Something has to happen before I could even answer another question. But it's really, really crazy. Consulting is a business that you really got to have wits about you. Because in the end, a lot of people come up and, like I said, they don't really have it. What they say they have, and then in the end, you're sitting there helping a company that's never going to go get off the ground anyway. So you have to really pick and choose who you want to deal with and who you give your knowledge to.
Yeah. So there's that thing about knowing of self and value and worth.
Right, and worth. Right.
Yeah.
If you walk up to me with a loose leaf notebook with some designs on it and says, "Hey, I need you to help consult me," I'm gonna tell you, turn you around and say, "Well, first thing you need to do is, get what you prepare first.
Yeah.
Know what you're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it happens all the time.
Because there's a lot of cats out there, and I'm not just jumping on those studio musicians or nothing like that. But and Paulie he knows what I'm going to say. But it's like, they get into the studio and they believe that, once they go into the studio and they lay down a track and they, smoke a little weed and whatever else may come along in between, and then they've been in there for 24 hours, they come out and the only thing they hear is sounds of noises because they way up here on that aspect of it.
Right.
And then all of a sudden their best friends tell them, man, that's the bomb. Oh, you this and you that.
Right.
And that's what they start to believe in is that they created that particular night, and that's what they're supposed to continue to do. But then when it switches around and then you get someone to consult that really understands the business and the sound and the music and all those different things, that's where that worth and that value falls in.
Right.
And then they don't understand that.
Well, I mean, it works for me because people never finish the word of what they're doing. It's the fashion business. It's the music business. So as long as people forget the business part of it, I got a job.
Okay. And what got you into the lineup of fashion and wanting to deal with clothing and designs and that kind of thing?
My part of it is I actually was in the military. I was fighting in Desert Storm. I got out of the military. I went working at Macy's back then. I would change my clothes about 4 or 5 times a day, just because. And after a while, I guess I figured that was what I like to do.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense.
But you know what they always say? They always say, if you like what you do, no matter whatever money you make, what you don't make, you're still gonna be happy. So happiness is better than just running around with just any type of position, and just not happy.
Okay, well, I'd like to welcome you to the Twin Cities as well.
I'm loving it. It's my first time here, so I'm just looking around out the window like a little kid.
Well, there's a lot to see in the Twin Cities, and I know he probably drove y'all by that billboard down the street. If not,
oh, the real big one.
I'm ready to go to Mall of America. That's what I want to do.
Is that right? What time would you like to go?
Now.
Okay, no doubt. But to the both of you, thank you very much for stopping by KMOJ Studios. And Paulie, grab that microphone right there, because I just want to say hats off to you for doing a wonderful job and bringing some people of some depth and caliber of information when it comes to worth of knowledge. And they're here right now in the Twin Cities. Right. And give them one more time the information on when it's all taking place, what time. And I know it starts at 9 o'clock, not 9:05, not 9:30. Not CP 1030.
Yes, if anybody knows I do anything is out of a high level of excellence. So please come show up at 8:15, 8:30, because we really do start right at 9 o'clock. When you understand building wealth, number one, give everybody the website again, www.wealthday.com, because I really, I hear people a lot say give back to the community. So a lot of times they're just saying give them some money. And I want to change the community, but I want to uplift. I know that there's so many young entrepreneurs. There's more J. Alexander Martins out there with a clothing vision. There's many people in the music industry. A lot of folks don't know that we have another guy that's coming in who flies in tonight named James Eichelberger, who was you wouldn't know Pussycat Dolls. You wouldn't know CeeLo Green as a solo artist. You wouldn't know Pitbull, Little John, Yin Yang Twins, Yo Gotti. Yo Gotti just did a multi-million-dollar deal. This same guy was instrumental in helping that happen. So everyone who's ever, because we had 306 Entertainment at one time, so I'm highly connected in the music industry. And I'm gonna put I'm gonna put J. Alexander on blast too, because they had a record label with FUBU. So anyone who's ever wanted to work in any form or fashion in the entertainment business, they want to be a Wealth Day, so that they can at least get the knowledge on how to do things accurately. Because once you leave Minneapolis, Minnesota, you still have to deal with Chicago. You have to deal with L.A. You have to deal with Detroit. And more importantly, you will have to deal with New York City. If you do not know how to function and move in those 4 major, and I don't know how I forgot Atlanta, Georgia, and those 5 majors of urban communities across the country, not counting Dallas, Texas, and Houston, then you're already going to start and say, well, my cousin and my friends around the block like me. But it's like, oh no, if they're not playing that music in those other markets, and if you don't know how to network and properly communicate and function around the right people, then you're going to mess up. So therefore, I want to help people save money by giving them the knowledge. So we also have the winner of Apprentice, Dr. Randall Pinkett, so he's going to be in the house. And I tell people, if Donald Trump says you're hired, and I'm not giving Donald Trump any special props, but let's keep it real. The guy's a billionaire. So if he says you're hired and you can run his Trump Towers and his casinos, then this gentleman must know something. So great. If you look at Famous Dave, the guy started, we were just joking and laughing that the world's largest barbecue chain headquarters is in Minneapolis, Minnesota. People don't even know that. So now everyone who wants to start the little mom and pop restaurant, but more importantly, want to hire employees, or if you are an employee and you want to get promoted, you must learn truthfully how it's done. So what Pam said earlier about not putting your twerking video on Facebook or whatever, it's cute now. But then you will get to that point where you say, okay, I'm ready to get promoted. So you grow from there. You got the Women's $1 Million Solutionist, Dr. Laureen Wisham is coming to town. So there's so much going on with Wealth Day that I wanna tell the Twin Cities, show up, support this. jack these guys for every piece of bit of information. They're here. You can't go through life now saying, well, nobody told us. Q-Bear is telling you. Paulie Jones is telling you. And y'all can go to pauliejones.com also to get the book, Who Told You You're Broke, to get the book, Schedule for Success, or any of other things. Wealthdata.com will have that too. I want you to support the speakers. Randall Pinkett has a book called Black Faces in White Places. It's very deep because they just did a $50 million deal with the government. We need to learn how to do this, and you have people who are humble enough to come to town to say, you know what, yeah, we'll come do it. So no one's coming in and trying to one-up, because all these guys, Famous Dave, J. Alexander Martin, add Dr. Randall Pinkett in there, you add everybody's net worth of the companies and the growth sales that they've done is well over $1 billion. I don't think we've had that in our own community before, where you have men and women of color, and if you combine the gross sales of what they do, it's well over $1 billion. So now we can't say people who have done things like this that can't do it here. We can. So I'm just going to display it. Please show up with your notepads and your pens. Write the information down. Have your iPads not to record, but to type your information in. You do what you need to do to get the information, retain the information, because myself, I'm putting it on out of my pocket. I'll give kudos to a good friend of mine and business partner, William Lockett, who's has a treatment program here in the Twin Cities, and he's doing a lot for the community. So he's very humble. He does a lot of things behind the scenes. But every time I go to Brother Lockett and say, hey, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do Wealth Day, I'm going to make this, he's right there. So I think that deserves some love, special love given to him, because he's proof that he loves the Twin Cities and he loves people to succeed. And that's what this is about. So, Q, I'm going to do my part in the Twin Cities to make sure people understand what wealth building is, but not by me just talking about it. We brought in the guys who can show you from the works, not just from their talks.
No doubt. I just say consider it done.
Yes, sir.
No doubt. It's FM 89.9 KMOJ.
Minneapolis businessman Arthur Paul D. Jones as he hosts Wealth Day 2013, September 14th at Doubletree, 7800 Normandale Boulevard in Bloomington. Famous Dave Anderson, founder of Famous Dave Restaurant, hear from fashion mogul J. Alexander Martin, co-founder and president of the iconic clothing line FUBU. Dr. Randall Pinkett, winner of Donald Trump's Season 4 The Apprentice. Greg Davis from the TV show Good News with Greg Davis and author of How I Did It. Branding consultant Pam Perry, best-selling author of Fit, Fine, and Fabulous, Dr. Lauren Wisham, who will share secrets to marketing, branding, and being a personal success coach. September 14th is Wealth Day 2013. One day of information for a lifetime of gratitude. For more info, wealthday.com.